A new group came to the surface. Al-Khawarij. Those people, they were brewing during the time of the prophets. After his death, vacuum of power, bit of instability, they managed to get together with certain features that I shall address. Only 25 years after the prophet's death. Obviously, I've labeled them as extremists, and you will soon find out why. They had few features, and I will ask you to just remember them for 2 seconds, because the next slide will show you how these features are quite applicable to our group today. I hope we will learn from history how to combat such group. Features. Very superficial, literal interpretation of the Quran. They used to hold the book of God, read it 24/7, just read the words, just think of the meaning, and that's it. No depth, no interpretation by the Prophet himself, no, just what they see. Literal, superficial. In fact, one of their characters is that in their army camp, in the battle they held against Ali, historians say you could hear the noise, like the noise of the bees when they were just flying. That's the noise used to come from their camps, due to the length and their insistence on reading the Quran, but without any understanding. They just hold 603 pages, read them, read them, read them. Nothing. They get nothing out of it. Quite similar to a modern group. One of their main principles that if you sin, you are considered outside the religion of Islam. So you've got someone, a Muslim, who commits a sin. He's still a Muslim, but maybe he's a sinner. No, under their superficial interpretation, if you commit a sin, that's it. You're outside the religion. And for them, outside the religion meant death. Disagree with them? Violence is the only way forward. Ali ibn Abi Talib gave them the chance of dialogue, 1.5 years or 2 years, while he's being the ruler of the state. They couldn't continue with the arguments, they couldn't continue with providing evidence. They decided to target Muslims who disagreed with them. So very superficial. If you commit a sin, you're considered an outsider to the religion. That's it. And if that's your fate, then death is your fate. And another very, very, very important feature of their time, which is why they misguided a lot of Muslims, is the fact that they were quite strict, very strict, in the way they dress, in the way they pray, in the way everything that has got involves action, involves showing off. They were very strict about it. Your pronunciation of the Quran, how many verses you read, how do you perform your prayer. Very strict. But when it comes to the heart of Islam, nothing. Literally nothing. And I'm going to put the next feature on its own, because a very distinguishing feature for them, that they used to hate the Prophet's son-in-law, Ali. They used to hate him. Hate this particular individual. Call him, even though he's the ruler of the state, rightly appointed successor of the Prophet, call him even a non-Muslim, and decide that his fate should be death. And obviously they killed him afterwards. I mean, to be quite honest with you, you might ask me, well, maybe they had a reason to hate Ali. Well, I'll just, over the next 3 slides, something I shared with a few students at City University the other day, yesterday actually, a few paragraphs of Ali's letter to one of his governors. He sent a governor to rule Egypt, and he sent him with a very long letter. His name is Malik, the governor. I'll just show you a few paragraphs. You can read it, and you can know Ali from these paragraphs. And think about it. Why would such a group hate Ali so much? If Ali used to say to his governor, Malik, create in your mind kindness. Create. It's not about whether you like it or not. You must, as a governor, create kindness and love. So this is Ali. Remember Malik, obviously a very long letter, just a few statements. Two kinds of people. The United Nations have come across this long letter. And I think it was in 2003 that they issued a document to the governments of the Middle East asking them to obey Ali's guidelines to his governor and implement them. Because Ali is from the Middle East at the end of the day, and he set these principles 14 centuries ago. So maybe the Arab dictators don't listen to the United Nations, at least they might listen to Ali. But obviously they are tyrants, so they wouldn't listen to Ali. So there are two kinds of people. Way before the Human Rights Declaration, by the way. This is Ali teaching his governor. These are the words of Muhammad narrated by Ali. Either of religion or someone who is equal to you in humanity. The principle of equality, the principles of justice. How many people suffered until they managed to establish these principles? Ali had laid them down 13, 14 centuries ago for his government. Yet the Khawarij couldn't accept it. The letter continues, but I've just taken a few parts. Let your mercy and compassion, all talking about love and compassion and mercy, words and action. Forgive your subjects, forgive those who are in charge of. Always forgiveness, always love. That's how Ali was, and that's how he wanted his governments to be. Do not feel ashamed to forgive or forget. Do not hurry up over punishment. In Saudi Arabia today, if they caught you stealing something, they will immediately punish you. Maybe they should learn from Ali, if they believe that Ali is a noble character to be followed. Do not hurry. Wait. Give it time. Investigate the evidence. Give people a second chance. Punishments are there not to hurt people. Punishments that are there for those people who feel weak, for their desires, to kind of repel them away from committing crimes. So don't hurry up over punishments. Never say to yourself, I'm their Lord, I'm their ruler. I mean, contrary to what 80% of Arabs today believe, that they should actually follow their leaders submissively. And here's Ali ibn Abi Talib asking his governor 13 centuries ago not to think that he's in charge, not to feel that he's in control, not to allow people to follow him submissively. Which is why Arab dictators, Muslim dictators, dictators across the world don't like the story of Ashura, the story of Hussain, the story of Ali to come up to the surface. Because people will find out what kind of rulers they should be. About the tax. Towards the end he says, the welfare of the taxpayer, primary importance than the taxes themselves. So yes, you get, the state depends on the income from the taxpayers, but it's his welfare and her welfare that comes first. That's Ali, 13 centuries ago. Caution about the poor. What I found, and I did discuss it with the students for City University yesterday, is towards the end when he says the second type, who do actually, they don't beg, the poor, but their conditions speak of their distress, both of them you must fix a share for them from the government treasury. So Ali is saying, don't just give for those who come and ask from you, give for those who don't even ask, but you know that they are in need. I.e., it's the role of the state to go out